Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and this is part 4 of What If Asta was the son of King and Diane. The reason I'm doing this part is that I normally do what if parts based on on the kind of, just kind of on instinct on which one I feel like I'm ready and pumped up to do. And I was feeling excited to get this part out as soon as possible. As for the 1000K special that I mentioned, half of the thumbnails for it is ready. So the 4-part 1001K special is going to be coming out as soon as the other half of the thumbnails are done. I do thank you for watching my videos and hope that you are enjoying them and that you are anxiously awaiting the 1K special. Now that that's covered, let's get to the what if. When we last left off, Helbram completely remembered that he completely forgot to mention his mother's title, completely shocking Asta, and having Asta have so many questions about what it means to actually be the king or queen of the giants. Helbrom explained from what he knew. Apparently, when a giant is more or less the king or the queen, for they're considered the strongest out of all of their race. The previous ruler of the who was considered the king of the giants before his mother Diane was Drole, who was said to be the founder of the giant race and even considered to be a god, their god in physical form, explaining his unique looks of a light blue skin with 4 arms, which Asta's just surprised that that's actually that kind of person existed. So, in more depths, he even told him about his mother's ability known as Mother Creation, a powerful earth magic ability that allows her to control the earth within an extremely large area, as if it more or less kind of like it's actually a part of her, which Asta is just thrilled thinking that he might be able to achieve that kind of strength one day. It gets him all pumped up. Though Magna barges in yelling at Asta to go to sleep, and Asta apologizing. Then we get to the part where Asta and Noelle get to the capital with Charmy in hiding away in Asta's little hood using her cotton magic. They Asta and Noelle meet up with Klaus, Yuno, and Mimosa, introducing themselves, with Mimosa and Noelle having the same kind of flustered thing over Asta, which then they head to the where they're supposed to report as they were ordered to, surprised to meet the Wizard King. And like in canon, they showed off the things that they got from the dungeon, Yuno's new spell in his grimoire, and Asta's new sword. So Julius asked if Asta could show him the different forms that his spear can take. Asta didn't see much harm in it, though he said they would have to go to a more grassy area for one of them. So he complied, and they went to an open field in the capital, somewhat similar to a garden. He showed them the first form of the basic spear form. Next was Guardian, then Death Thorn, Pollen Garden, Increase, and Sunflower. He remarks that these are the only ones he's able to use right now. he feels like there's more of them to unlock, he just hasn't got to them yet. With Julius' eyes sparkling like crazy over this kind of magic, he's just all pumped up. But then snaps out of it, remembering that there's the distinguished ceremony. So they were invited to come over and join them. Like in canon, they everybody's looking at Asta and Yuno and everybody and Noel, a member who are also a member of the Black Bulls, for being for coming to the ceremony, even if they were invited by the Wizard King. Solid went to go dump the glass of water like he did in canon, but before he was able to, Asta used his spear in its guardian form to grab Solid's wrist, then make him move his arm to toss the water right into Solid's face. He was obviously pissed off, and then Asta just floats over the table, chewing out everybody, saying that it doesn't matter. He's going to be the Wizard King, whether he's a commoner or not. Which he can't really say that he's the Fairy King or the son of the previous Fairy King and the Giant Queen. Yeah, can't really say that in a crowd of people like this. The Sand Mage uses that cube thing to bind him, though he's quickly met with Guardian backhanding him when Asta announces himself right behind him. Like his dad, he's pretty freaking quick with his flying to dodge enemy attacks to a blinding speed. Though if he gets careless or if he isn't paying attention and all that, he can get hit. Then we have Solace and uh, I forget Noelle's sister's name. She just pissed me off, so I don't really care about remembering her name. But she used her spider mist thread spell, and Solid used his snake. Instantly, Asta used his new demon dweller sword to cut them to shreds, saying, "You're not even worth using my spear for." Which just pissed them off even more. So the Sand Mage went to use the sand golem, but was quickly torn apart by his spirit spear Gumnir, with Solid firing his magic water bullet at the same time. Asta summoned his Demon Slayer sword and reflected it back at him. Obviously, Solid got even more pissed, which is when Nozel came in to the picture complaining about that this commoner needs to be taught a lesson. Which Asta was starting to get a bit pissed at the about them talking to him like this, because it's really getting old to him. Then Flagoleon steps in and to get in between Asta and Nozel, with Leopold still saying that Asta is interesting and claiming that Asta is going to be his rival. Asta kind of goes along with it, thinking, looks like there are some other good royals that are decent people, not like these assholes. Which then suddenly they heard a crash with an explosion, and then the mage comes in yelling that the capital's under attack. The stone mage still does his normal thing, but Asta just is already flown out through the window, getting an air-eye view of what's going on, thinking, damn it, what the hell? When he takes a closer look, he sees that the capital is infested with zombie puppets, thinking, oh, dear God, whoever did this has no respect for the dead. And plus, I don't even want to know what kind of magic does this kind of sick stuff. So, Asta thinks that he should probably take care of them quick. If they're, since they're corpses, they're being controlled using magic. So, a hit from an anti-magic weapon should dispel the magic, turning them into simple corpses. So he uses Dark Spirit Spear Gumnir increase in the dark. If you remember the dark part, if you remember from the last part of the what if, is whenever the anti magic merges with the Spirit Spear's forms in order for combat. This is only possible due to the fact that the Spirit Spear is made out of the sacred tree itself, making it very powerful and adaptable to where not even anti-magic can affect it. He uses the Dark Spirit Spear Gumnir in its increased form to scatter all about the capital, taking as many as he can of the zombies that he's seeing. When he notices that a lot of the zombies are pretty bunched up together in a single location. When he sees this, he thinks, huh, that looks like a good enough place as any to look for the guy who's causing all this. The spear goes back into its normal form, but though in its dark state, and Asta flies right down to where that crowd of zombies are, hacking and slashing one after the other, with using the spirit spear, attacking any zombies that are trying to attack him from behind, until he gets to where Rades is and is about to hurt that girl. He quickly slashes at Rades, cutting his face, which just pisses him off. And he said, "You're not getting away with that." Summoning Jimmy, Asta uses Dark Spirit Spear Death Thorn and uses it to whack away the curse magic orbs that the Wraith is firing, which, if you remember correctly, it isn't fully awakened, so it has a limited reach. Though, with so many anti-magic vines with thorns on them, Asta doesn't get hit this time with the orbs. With Rades getting even more and more furious, Asta hurries up and uses one of the tricks he learned from Hellroom that the fairies can use. He uses some plant manipulation to shoot out a large vine from behind Jimmy to grab him around the waist and toss him right towards Asta, allowing him to hit him dead on with his anti-magic swords. Thinking, jeez, pays off to be a half-breed, though it looks like these wraith things are still all over the place. He holds out his hand after sticking the demon dweller sword into the ground. Brady's wondering what the hell is he doing as he hurries up and summons Alfred. Asta is creating his golems, yelling out comrades. As for some new additions to his set of golems, it isn't just the Black Bulls anymore, but with Yuno, Mimosa, Klaus, as well as Flagolion, Leopold, and even the Wizard King. He tells them to spread out and take care of these corpses. And they do so, with Brady's laughing, thinking, "Ha! You should have left them here. Now you're gonna pay." Having Alfred shoot his lightning at him, though Asta is able to dodge and fly around. Rades doesn't know much about Asta being able to fly since they never met, which gives Asta a perfect chance to get behind Alfred and skewer him clean through with his anti-magic sword. Rades is getting even more and more pissed and summons his final wraith thing. Well, the main one with the defensive magic, which is when Leopold and the Wells show up, and Rady summons that mud magic wraith that they had to deal with. Right then and there, Asta stabs the spirit spear into the ground, telling the girl he's been protecting to stay behind him. As he says, "Spirit spear Gumnir." Sunflower, as it emerges from the ground, opening up about, and Asta using the anti-magic swords to defend himself and the girl. Though before he's able to fire, Flagoleon tells him to stop, saying, "That seems a bit overkill, and it looks like you might cause a lot of damage to the capital if you let that thing fire here." Asta kinda says, "Oh, sorry." Which is when Flagoleon uses that condensed flame beam to go clean through the Wraith's magic shield, burning him to a crisp, allowing Flagoleon to capture him. After he sees his grimoire and Rades freaks out, when is when right after Leopold and Noel end up finish dealing with that mud wraith. Flagoleon even congratulates Noelle on doing well, surpassing her notion of being weak. Which, without any warning, the spatial magic opens up beneath Flagoleon. Oslo tried to go over there to stab it, but by the time he was able to stab the ground where the spatial magic was, Flagoleon was already gone. He demand from Rades to know where he went. Rades just smirked when Asta began to sense something. He instantly he sent his spirit spear right over to a pile of corpses, breaking it apart, with one of them jumping away, going through a spatial magic portal. It was the spatial mage of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Again, I'm sorry if I forget this guy's name. He just doesn't have that much of a presence. He's just way too freaking calm compared to some of the more outrageously acting members of the Midnight Sun. But yeah, this is whenever the spatial mage brings their companions to them, telling them that all of the other magic knights are gone. Though, except Yuno, whose fight with the ass witch still goes the same. We keep going, and Flagoleon drops in. At this point, Asta walks over to him, gripping his spear, saying, "You'll pay. You will pay." The spirit spear began to glow and began to get larger and larger. As it glowed, Asta also became larger and larger, with his spear even using its magic to increase the size of Asta's clothes. And Asta said, "Spirit spear Gumnir. New form, Mjolnir," which what looks similar to Diane's sacred treasure treasure Gideon, but it has a silver color with a red and gold trim to it. And now Asta is in his giant form, which Noel and Leopold, along with all the Midnight Sun members, are just freaking out. He uses his earth magic and uses Rock Rush, sending boulders at the mages, though they were able to use their magic to evade the attacks. One of his attacks did end up crushing one of the enemy mages, one of the same ones that Julius killed in canon. At this time, they decided to use a focus attack while he's blinded by rage to kill him, since he seems like he'll be a problem in the future. But then suddenly, an odd portal opens up, and Rades yells at their spatial mates, asking, "What are you doing?" He replies, "This isn't me." And from that opening, a large woman with brown hair and purple eyes came out with a similar hammer that Asta was wielding. She landed along with two other large people who seemed to be giants as well. Also coming out was a young looking blonde girl with wings, with butterfly wings, a man with silver hair and a smug grin on his face, as well as some other children looking people with butterfly, or I guess some would call insect wings, on their backs. At this moment, the giant woman with the war hammer looked at what was going on and gave the Eye of the Midnight Sun a frickin' death glare, flaring up an insane amount of magic energy. They instantly bailed. And this was about the time that the magic knights that were sent away got back, worried and freaking out about the scene they were just seeing, began to get ready for battle. Asa didn't know what to think because he'd never seen these people, but they feel familiar. The woman with the war hammer dropped her weapon and rushed over to Asta, hugging him, while still in his giant form, saying, "Asta, my son, you're back. I found you." Asta's like, "Huh? Ah!" With everybody yelling, "Huh?" And no, and it's revealed that this is Diane crying, hugging Asta. Though now that Asta was all confused and wasn't focusing, the new Mjolnir form that he just got went back into its regular spear form, and Asta ended up shrinking back down, which then Diane caught him and just kind of just smushed him against her face while still crying, saying, "Ah, you're drowning me." Which Dan's just so happy that she can barely hear him. He isn't really drowning, but it feels like it. The Magic Knights are still prepared to fight, and the giants, as well as the fairies that came along with them, step in between them, saying, "Protect Her Highness and the Prince." At this point, Asta isn't a fully realized fairy king, and being the son of the previous fairy king and the current giant queen, more or less makes him more of a prince rather than a king at the moment, since his power hasn't fully awakened. But after hearing this, their jaws just drop, thinking, "What the hell?" He Asta asks Diane if he could have some time to help out Legolion. When she looked over behind her, and softly going on with Mimosa trying to heal her, she loosened up her grip, apologizing for being so emotional. With the girl with the blonde hair saying, "Don't worry, Diane, it's understandable," and the guy with the silver hair saying, "Yeah, yeah, it's not a problem. He's so really, it really isn't that unexpected after all this time." Everybody's already still confused. Asta hurries up and uses his spirit spear in the garden form to further enhance the healing for Flagoleon. Though, considering he's missing an entire arm, he can't grow that back. Even with Pollen Garden. If he... So, we continue to where things have calmed down a little bit. The tension of the that would have caused a fight between the Magic Knights, the Giants, and the Fairies calmed down, and they all just relaxed for a moment there. Which is when Diane and uh, and Lane began to explain what was going on. As they explained everything, they told the situation about how Asta ended up in Hodge and who Asta really was, as the son of the late fairy king and the current giant queen. Which everybody's jaws just dropped again, breaking the concrete. Now knowing that Asta is frickin' fairy slash giant royalty. And the man with the silver hair, aka Bond, if you haven't realized it yet, says, "You people really should stop being surprised by this. I know it's shocking and a lot to take in, but come on." But then another girl that floated around Bond, but did not have wings, said, "Come on, Dad, it isn't, you shouldn't really be, you should understand that this is a lot for them to take in. They need some time to process." Bond says, sorry. Bond says, "All right, Ellie. Yeah, fine." And then a li- then Elaine floated down to Asta and introduced herself as his aunt. Which also like, wait, what? You're my aunt? But you look so much younger than me. He laughs, saying, "Yes, I do. Though I suppose you may have aged. I suppose your body may have matured a bit faster due to your half-breed nature between giant and fairy. So there is that to consider." Yeah, Asta's just taking this in. Then Asta asked how did they get there, which instantly he ends up with a large green dog that just lands on his shoulders, saying, "Ah, what the hell?" Diane says, "Oh, yes, I forgot to introduce Oslo. Oslo is essentially a guardian to each of the fairy kings. Ever since the first fairy king stepped down, from the second fairy king from there on, Oslo has been more or less a guard watching over the fairy kings. Though, due to the instance that ended up causing us to be separated, Oslo didn't know where to go to begin with." Which Asta asked them, how exactly did you know where to find me this time? She remarked about the warhammer that his spear, the giant warhammer that looked like hers, that his spear turned into, saying that releasing so much energy acted similar to a beacon that they followed straight to him, explaining that Oslo's mouth is a frickin' portal to get from one place to another. Also saying, so wait, this guy's gonna be sticking with me? Which Asta isn't really that against it. Oslo seems pretty cool and pretty friendly too. Though Diane said, well, it's time to go. We have to go back to the Fairy King's forest where we belong. But before anything else, right after she said that, the spear began to glow. And also with Vaughn saying, asking, what are you doing, kid? But also saying, I'm not doing this, it's just doing it on its own. Golden energy sought out from the spear and went on to everybody there. At this point, Fagolion was already checked into a hospital, and the Wizard King just popped there right when the energy was surging, also hitting him. And it showed the continent that the Clover Kingdom was on with the Spade, Heart, and the Diamond Kingdom as well, showing it being engulfed in darkness, then showing them shooting stars falling rapidly in the form of crosses. Once it ending it there, the Magic Knights and the Wizard King and all were confused about what just happened. Diane gripped her fist, saying, not again, not again. Asta asked her what she meant by not again, and she said there is a holy war coming. It seems as though the sacred tree chose you not just because you are the son of the previous wizard, the previous fairy king. Diane said that, continued saying that it seems as though you're needed here to stop a dark force that seeks to destroy this world. Explaining that her and her comrades had to do something similar, which then people started to wonder, piece together giants, fairies, holy wars. Uh, when they saw the mark on her leg, they were said, "Wait, you can't be the legend." They remember a old legend from a distant country they heard of about a war that involved multiple races, including demons, goddesses, fairies, giants, humans, and the like. Diane said, yes, I'm Diane, the current giant queen, as well as the serpent sin of envy. Also introducing Bon as the fox sin of greed. As for why he's still around, if I'm not mistaken, he lost his immortality, but Merlin did the same magic that she had on her, preventing him from aging so he can stay with Elaine, along with their daughter Ellie. Which they're all shocked about, but Diane refuses to go back to the Fairy King's forest, even though that they might need to protect it soon. Though uh, Elaine convinces her that she could come back any time to visit, but and that they can stay a couple of days to catch up with Asta, which she's isn't happy about it, but goes along with it, which is when the Wizard King asks some questions about this holy war stuff. They explain the details of the last holy war as well as the signs. It's also saying that the sacred tree that makes up the spirit spear is sentient and connects to life itself throughout the world. So it gave us that image, showed us those images, so that this country is on the verge of taking of being on the battlefield of a new holy war, uh, which uh, Julius does mention that he used his time magic and saw that there was something coming, though he didn't see what exactly it was. When he asked what it could be, Diane didn't know. The demons from the demon realm weren't going to be causing any trouble with Meliodas around, but uh, their foe isn't coming from the demon realm, it's coming from the nether realm. If you caught up with the anime, if you're not, then sorry, but that's all I'm gonna say for now. But see, though, every and then he asked, "Wait, spirit spear?" You said, as they look at the spear, thinking that's a legendary weapon that's supposed to be so powerful it could destroy an entire country by itself, right? Diane says yes, though it isn't in its true form. Asta hasn't gained enough power to use it at its full potential, explaining that its full potential, its base form would look like a gigantic golden spear that would, lengthwise, would probably tower over the royal castle, which they're a little nervous now, knowing that there's someone with that kind of future potential in their ranks. Though the Nozel and the siblings that mocked Asta earlier are completely speechless at this point. And Julius asked if they could stay the night while they take care of some things. They actually do need to discuss some things. They didn't mind as long as Asta could hang out with Diane and catch up. So they did. And Diane asked one of the fairies for the vial, pulling out a vial with pink capsules and tossing it into Diane's mouth. Diane began to slightly glow, along with some markings on her clothing that seems to show that her clothing is enchanted, shrinking her down to a human size, which surprises everybody, asking, "Wait, what was that?" She says that it's a special type of magical vitamin, she suppose it can be the right word, that allows her to shrink down to a more human size, though she's still a giant and has all of her powers. Which they then end up talking and discussing, and though Diane doesn't really pay any attention, mostly it's Elaine dealing with this because Diane is doting over her newly found lost son, which Asa doesn't know how to feel. And in the same room as this going on, we have Mimosa, Klaus, Yuno, and Noel, along with Charmy, and they're thinking, "This is insane. You're you did you know that you weren't human?" Asta said, "Yeah, pretty much." After saying that, he hears Helbram asking to give his helmet to Yuno. He complies, and Yuno doesn't know what's going on, but Asta asks him to put on the helmet. Once he did, he saw Helbram, which surprised the hell out of him, as he told everybody that there's another fairy that he's seeing through the visor of the helmet, and explaining Helbram's explanation that he's a fairy soul bonded to the helmet, and also saying that he wanted to wear the helmet because he wanted to check something. He senses that the spirit that has, the wind spirit that resembles a fairy. He said that the spirit he has seems to share many qualities not just appearance, but magic wise, it seems, from. So he offers him something. When she says, "That's fine with me, but I'm not sure what you're talking about." Which is when Elaine and Bond walk in with Ellie, and Ellie talking to her cousin. Yuno hands over the helmet to Elaine, which then uh, Elaine ends up talking to Helbram, saying, but they can't hear Helbram that clearly since they're not close enough to the helmet. With Elaine just saying, "What? Are you sure?" He looks at Yuno and can sense the the wind spirit coming from him, and says, "Fine, if that's what you want." See, Helbram explained who Yuno is and that he was raised alongside Asta and is incredibly powerful at wind magic as well as being chosen by the spirit of wind Sylph. She recognized the name from some stories she heard about these elemental spirits. And this sighs, saying, "All right." She asks Oslo to open up a portal, which he did. She reached in and pulled out a sword within a scabbard, handing it over to Yuno, stating that this is the Holy Tree Sword. It seems like Helbram thinks that you could be a worthy wielder of it, and considering the upcoming darkness, it could be useful. Yuno takes it and pulls it out, and when he does, Elaine puts her finger on his head, transmitting knowledge to him magically on how to use it, similar to the fairies. With Sylph as a type of helper in this, he would be able to do it. As for what the sword does, it can spin like a saw blade to attack enemies in a similar fashion that the spirit spear can, but it can also separate itself and become multiple holy tree swords, which is surprised by what this is and what he can do with it. He perceives it and says thanks. So after everything, uh, Elaine, Ellie, and Bond, along with some the giants and the fairies that went to go back to the Fairy King's forest. Though Diane said that she'll catch up later, wanting to spend some time with Ost, her son, and meeting the other Black Bulls. After everything was said and done, and they all went their separate ways their uh, to their squads, all the magic knights that were there were just done with today. The capital was attacked. Giants and fairies emerged into the capital as well, and now they found out that the son of the current fairy king and son of the previous fairy king and current giant queen is in their midst as a member of the uh, magic knights. And once this news hits the ears of the Clover King, he yells, "What? How? How is someone like that in our magic knights?" He's somewhat nervous, extremely nervous, worried about him destroying their kingdom, knowing the legends about the fairy kings in the past. Though it's still the same, Clover King, so he's still kind of asinine to say the least. Once Noelle, Charmy, Asta, and Diane in tow get to the Black Bulls, hideout, they introduced Asta's mom, which Asta is embarrassed on Diane doting on him and just can't stand it. When they hear this, Yami says, "You look a bit young to be a mother." Well, her remark is that she's actually a giant, using a little dispeller bead, magic bead, to show them that she's actually a member of the giant race, and explaining Asta, which shocks everybody, with Magda yelling, "So that's why you're not normal at all. That's why you can fly without a broom or anything. That explains the spear, and that explains all the other craziness you can do." With Asta saying, "Yeah, pretty much." After some time passed, Diane regrettably got called, had an escort come for her with some giants and some fairies asking her to come back to the Fairy King's forest to help guard it. But before that, Diane handed over a gem, a magic item to Asta, telling him that if she ever needs their help in the upcoming battle, to break this and they'll come rushing. Asta grips it. He was all he was he spent the entire time being embarrassed by his mom doting on him, as well as not sure about how to feel. So after this and seeing her about to leave, Asta just straight up hugs Diane, crying, saying, "Please come back anytime you want." Diane begins to cry too, hugging her son, saying, "Of course I will. I'm your mother, so there's no way I'm going to abandon you." After that, they left, and Oslo lands on Asta's shoulder, trying to comfort him. Asta pats him on his head, saying, "Thanks, Oslo." But then Charmy burst in, yelling, "I'm gonna kill that dog, he ate all of my food!" Which Oslo begins to run off, with Charmy chasing after him with a large fork and knife, along with her sheep cooks, all bearing knives, yelling, "I'm gonna cook you up in the stir fry!" And this is where we'll be ending everything off for this part. In closure, Asta, along with everybody else, know what and who Asta is, and Asta now has Oslo hanging around him, along with a magical item that could send a signal for reinforcements from the Fairy King's forest. And we also have Noel thinking he's royalty and not even human. She blushes and thinks, wait, why am I blushing? As she sees herself in the mirror freaking out. So, yeah, please, I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And, like I said before, during the beginning, half of the thumbnails for the 4-part special of the 1K special are done. And once the other thumbnails are done, I'll be ready to go. So, you can wait in anticipation for when the special comes out. Hope you enjoy and have a good night.